Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm continuing my Halloween review series with Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers. The apparently comatose Michael Myers is being transferred from one hospital to another, but he wakes up when the ambulance crew talk about his surviving niece, Jamie. After slaughtering his attendants, Myers sets out to find his one living relative who is fortunately being cared for by a kind and resourceful foster sister named Rachel. Meanwhile, the ever-cautious Dr. Loomis remains on the killer's path. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and leaving a like, and if you've seen this movie, let me know down below what you think about it. It's been a lot of fun in this Halloween series hearing what you guys have to say, because a lot of the times I find that we have some different opinions, and it's just really interesting to have a conversation down in the comment section. So yeah, make sure to comment if you've seen the movie. And this review is going to contain spoilers, just like my previous reviews, and if you guys haven't seen, you guys can go watch my Halloween, Halloween 2, and Halloween 3 movie reviews that are up on the channel right now. So I'm happy to say that I enjoyed this movie a lot more than its previous movie, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, but this movie is still not free of flaws, and I'm just excited to talk about it in this review, so let's just dive in. So I genuinely think that this movie has one of the best openings in any Halloween movie. I know that's like maybe a hot take because the first one is so iconic, and although I still think the first opening of the first Halloween movie is still the most iconic, I think this one is kind of not talked about enough because it just sets up a lot of eeriness and just a really good atmosphere for this movie, because you see the Halloween decorations, how empty everything is. I think emptiness is really used well in this opening sequence, and a lot of the times our character is alone, so you kind of get glimpses of what's to come in the movie, and I really just enjoyed the opening. I love seeing the different silhouettes of the Halloween decorations and the different lighting changes. It was very spooky Halloween vibes that I enjoyed a lot. And with that being said, I just want to praise Dwight H. Little's direction, because although he didn't do anything crazy and the directing in this movie is not what stands out the most, I think for the most part he did a pretty good job in directing this movie. There are some things that I wish he would have done differently. Like, this movie sometimes feels very close together and kind of, I guess you could say, tight. Like, a lot of the shots feel like they could have been a bit wider, because one of my favorite things in the Halloween movies is getting that like really big look at everything. You see something in the corner creeping out, and this movie I think didn't have that as much, but I still really appreciated the approach that he took with this movie. Like I said, the opening is really great, and there's a lot of really cool sequences. One of my favorites, in the school, there's a part where Michael is coming down the stairs and you don't see his face, you just see the knife and the body, and I just think it was really well done. I really just liked how he directed certain things. So I just wanted to praise him because I did think he did a decent job directing this movie. And the plot of this movie is a little bit iffy, so we're gonna talk about it. So at the beginning, we find out that Laurie Strode is dead. Yeah, I don't really think this movie is canon. No, it can't be canon with the new movies because obviously Laurie Strode is alive and well. This movie basically doesn't exist in the timeline of Halloween, and I assume the fifth one doesn't exist either, and the sixth, like there's a lot of movies in the Halloween franchise that just don't exist in any timeline, technically, like the canon timeline, which is weird, but I'm not judging it because of that. I'm judging it just in the form of the movie that we got. And we find out that Laurie Strode is dead, and I don't have a problem with that itself. I have a problem with how they killed her, because they killed her in a car accident, and they just said like a couple lines and she's gone. I just don't think the character of Laurie deserves that, because she is almost like the face of this franchise as well. Like, she's a huge part of it, and you really, like, just to kill her with a car accident just doesn't feel earned whatsoever, because you have Laurie who has survived 2 Halloween movies and a bunch of stuff, and then you kill her like that. It's just weird. But with that being said, I do like our main character here, the girl Jamie, whose name is actually inspired by Jamie Lee Curtis. I like her as a character, and I don't mind that she's Laurie's daughter. I think it's actually cool that they did that, but it's just having Laurie be dead in that way is just not good at all. Like, honestly, I'm just not a fan of that at all. But having Michael throughout the entire movie chase around a little girl is really scary, honestly. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I think when you put a little kid in the front of a horror movie like that, it has potential to be really good, because I think everything's scarier when it's from a little kid's perspective, and we kind of get to see some of her perspective as well. She's really scared because this is technically her uncle that's chasing her, and she has these visions and these nightmares, and we do get a little bit of that, which I did enjoy, because I think we got to understand how scared this little girl was and kind of put us in her shoes. I need to praise Danielle Harris because I think she did such a good job acting in this movie. I think her performance is really believable, and like I said, having a child in the forefront of a horror movie has potential to be good, but it could easily not work if you don't have a good child actress or actor, and here she's great. Like, I really liked her in this movie, and I've heard pretty bad things about Halloween 5, but I think at least I have in the back of my mind that she might be pretty good in that one. So I like Danielle Harris here. I think she's really good to watch and also to root for, honestly. So I enjoyed it for that. And Michael is not the only one that returns in this movie, because this movie also brings back Donald Pleasence to play Dr. Sam Loomis. And I love Dr. Loomis. I think he's a huge part of this franchise, as much as Michael is and as much as Laurie is. And I like seeing him on screen, and I think Donald Pleasence did a good performance coming back. But I think his character is a little bit repetitive, because a lot of the time it's just him telling other people why Michael Myers is such a bad person and is like really evil. I've always liked that he's been preoccupied, and he does have good scenes in this movie. I'm not saying that he's a terrible character here, but like, I just think it's common knowledge already that Michael is this really strong menace to not mess with, and just having him over and over tell these police officers, tell random people in the neighborhood, like just randomly tell everyone, feels a little bit redundant to me. Something else that I think was weird with this character, in Halloween 2, it ends in a fire and we think he's dead. At least I thought he was dead, and I don't mind that he's back, but they just kind of brushed it over, because originally there was going to be a scene explaining and like showing how he got out of the fire, and I wish we would have gotten that, because it was said in a conversation, and I guess like you don't really miss too many details, but I don't know, I just thought that was weird that like in part 2 he was like almost burned to death, and here he has burn marks, but like we don't really get anything in between that. And also his burn marks sometimes are a bit inconsistent. This movie had a lot of reshoots, and you can kind of tell sometimes. They should have probably paid a little bit more attention to that. I don't want to just sit here and say that Dr. Loomis is a terrible character in this movie, because he's not. I really like a scene with him and Michael at the gas station. Super tense. I like when we get scenes between each other, because they're like a really big part of this franchise, and that scene was really cool. The one at the gas station, it was really scary. It gave me anxiety. I liked the way it was shot, and I just really enjoyed it. Also, Donald Pleasence did such a good job acting in the very last scene of the movie.
No! No! No!
Like that scream that he lets out, and every time he has like his little crazy moments, I think he does a really good job there, so I gotta give him that. And let's talk about Michael here. The mask is, I mean, terrible. If you know anything about this movie, I think everybody always talks about the mask. It's just, it looks so clean and like a little kid's mask. It does not look scary. I've always thought Michael was one of the scariest horror icons, because he looks so scary with that mask, even though it's really simple. But here they really just messed it up, and I don't understand why. I think I read that like the mask got lost, and also like it's a different actor, so they have to like fit it differently. But like, it's a very easy mask to do. Like, it's not a super crazy mask that you have to build or make. So I don't understand why they couldn't just do it. Again, to me, just being lazy. But yeah, that's basically it. And also, there's a scene where his hair is like blonde. Really, this is how Michael looks. That's a disservice to the guy that Dr. Sam Loomis is basically screaming about, saying that he's really horrifying and scary, and then he looks like this. So a little bit weird there. And Michael, he does have some good moments. There's some nice kill scenes. My personal favorite is Kelly's death scene, although it's a little bit like, I guess, out there, because she gets impaled by a shotgun. I thought it was really cool. I enjoyed it. There's also one scene where a guy gets electrocuted. Like, this movie has some pretty good death scenes, in my opinion. I also really like the whole sequence where they're killing the guy. I forgot his name. The guy that Rachel's talking about all the time. Him, like the way he like crushed his face and all that. Really cool. And in the reshoots, a lot of the reshoots were actually done with the death scenes, by the way, to add more gore and stuff, and I feel like sometimes you could kind of tell that that was done, which honestly didn't bother me that much, so it's not something that like I took away from the movie. And Rachel is another important character in this movie. She's Jamie's foster sister, and I wish they would have developed her character a lot more, because I think they had potential to do more with her, but throughout the entire movie she's kind of just interested in this guy, and then she gets to a house and he's with another girl, and then I don't know, I just feel like her character revolves around this guy a lot, and I didn't think it was an interesting subplot, because in movies there's a main plot, there's a secondary plot, and they usually kind of like connect, and I just think this one was unnecessary. Like, I didn't really care much for it, and I wish they would have spent a lot more time developing what they were going to say with the ending, because let's talk about the ending. I'm really interested to see if you guys like the ending or not, because I personally was not a big fan of it. So it ends and basically Jamie kind of like inherited Michael's really evil vibes. Like, she's basically doing the same thing he did in the first Halloween as a little kid, with the knife going to kill someone. And that's the scene that I was talking about that Dr. Sam Loomis I think shines in, because I think his acting was really good there. But I just don't think it's what her character deserved, and I just don't get it. I personally am not a fan of it. I wish the movie had spent a little bit more time with that. I guess you could argue that they do, with the whole like nightmares and visions that she has, that she's like thinking about him all the time. But I don't know, I just think it came out of nowhere in my opinion, whereas I think the secondary plot of this movie should have been that, and how she is psychologically damaged just because she has an uncle who's going to kill her and tried to kill her mom all the time. Like, I don't know, I just think it came out of nowhere. I think it has good potential, but it just doesn't really work for me all that much, and I'm very curious to see how it all plays out in Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. I've heard the movie's really bad, so I am like, yay, I have to watch it. But I'm just like, I don't know, I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about the ending. A lot of people consider it to be one of the best Halloween sequels, and I could see how it is. It is watchable. I wasn't bored at all as I was watching it, and that's always a good sign with these movies. A lot of it I was laughing, like the mask, so like there were things going on that were technically bad, but I still had a good time watching it. It's definitely better than Halloween 3. I'm still going to give this movie a C. It's watchable and it does have some good elements, but I still think they could have done a lot more to elevate this movie and make it as good as possible. Thank you so much for watching today's Halloween review. Like I said, I've already reviewed the original Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 3, and now Halloween 4. And make sure to subscribe if you want to see more Halloween reviews, and make sure to check out my description for a bunch of links to my social medias and other fun stuff. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye everyone!